Thank you.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? Thank you for the 4 people that cared. It's all good. It's late in the afternoon,
Awesome.
almost happy hour time on a Wednesday. I know. I'm actually going to my own birthday party after this, so it's going to work out. Not actually, today's not actually my birthday, it was on Sunday, but I was in Asia, so I decided to do one here anyways. But yes, hi, I'm Brian. I've got about 20 minutes to try to tell you a bit more about the Kiip story and kind of what we did and what we're doing right now and sort of making this model of rewarding moments of achievement work. I think the word, obviously there's probably a lot of diatribe about the word gamification. I'll just avoid that altogether. I'll tell you what we do, and you'll mix all the concepts together yourself and categorize it whichever way and add labels in the way that you guys want. So it's all about keep capturing the moment is really sort of our mantra, and you'll realize very quickly what that means very soon. So quick background on me. Why is there well, I'm turning 22, but why is there a very young-looking Asian 12-year-old talking to you about gamification? Well, I can't grow facial hair, but my background is a lot in gaming. I played a lot of first-person shooter games when I was younger. This is Counter-Strike. I tried to make the argument to my mom and dad that the my designing on Photoshop was getting better and better because of my eye-hand coordination improvements from first-person shooters. They wouldn't buy it. But my background as well is I moved down to San Francisco in 2010 after I graduated college to work at Dig. And as you guys remember, Dig was a very popular social news site. Unfortunately, didn't suffer a great fate. But I was there in business development for all of 5 months until I got laid off. And this was the beer fridge at Dig. They didn't really like the fact that I was underage when I started working there. Pretty depressing. But anyways, really what the dynamic was that we were tapping into, or at least the company Kiip was tapping into, and the inspiration I got from it was really understanding the ubiquity of smartphone devices. You guys see this. I mean, this is just very empirical stuff. You walk around everywhere, you see just the sheer number of people using phones. But one of the things that I also realized, and this was actually an epiphany I had while I was on my forced sabbatical, as I describe it, is I was on a flight, a long-haul flight. I was walking up and down the aisles, and to my left and to my right, anybody who was awake that was on their phones or on their tablets were playing games. And so games quickly became a very focal point for me because I realized that this was a piece of content that everybody had seemed to already be gravitating towards and already be playing. And there's a lot of eyeballs in this one medium. So naturally in my head, that must mean that there's a huge advertising opportunity. This is logic would say that. And so unfortunately, though, going into the whole experience, I realized that the way advertising had manifested on mobile games was absolute shit, right? You're talking these banner ads that, again, I'm not blaming anybody. You know, when the whole mobile thing started to take off, I bet you some guy was just like, you know what? Don't really get this whole thing, but I understand display advertising, so let's just take display and shrink it. You know, it's fine. But I was like, you know what? Let's just pretend we were in an alternate universe that display advertising never existed and try to do something that was almost, you know, games or mobile first. And so I had an epiphany when I realized this. Every single game in the world has one thing in common, and this is the achievement moment. You guys are all very familiar with this. We internally call it the E moment. The reason why is because every time there's an achievement, it actually indicates emotion. This is a key point. It means that people are happy. They feel like they've been satisfied. There's excitement. Most advertising doesn't care if you're happy. There's no sensitivity to your emotion. So in my head, what if it was sensitive to your emotion? What if it did care about what you felt? So what we were doing was, how do we take these moments of delight where there's dopamine rushes and essentially help brands to participate in these moments? And the way we figured that would happen wasn't through an ad, where there's billions of dollars right now in media being spent on billions of moments of annoyance, but rather why not make these billions of moments of delight? And right now the way I describe it is you never hear anybody go, oh my God, I love AdMob, love millennial media, can't wait to get gray stripe in my face. And so the thing is, how do we create something that's desirable and that people actually like, which is very difficult because when you hear the word ad, it automatically denotes negativity. And so for us, it's about trying to denote some type of positive emotion, not even calling it ads at all whatsoever. That's why for us, it's a rewards network. We have very peculiar language around the moment and around rewarding serendipitously. So these are what the rewards look like. And basically, we had an idea where the rewards would actually come in completely serendipitously and not something that people would expect. So we wouldn't tell people how to get it. But here's an idea of kind of how we've grown over the last 2 years and 10 months. We're almost 3 years old as a company. Pretty old in startup terms. It's like 21 years in dog years, right? But we raised now a bunch of money. We've hit certain metrics. And by the way, the janky-ass transitions are because they forced us to convert this shit to PowerPoint. Anyways, just to tell you, not my fault. All right, so this is some of the stats. We've now served about 280 million rewards, about 300 million moments a month, and we're active in about 10 countries. And so these are, and moments, just so you know, are actually moments of achievement we've now unearthed with apps that have already existing audiences. So our business is we let developers sort of identify moments of achievement using our SDK, and these are special moments where we actually tell them, you got to find significant moments when you know people are achieving or accomplishing something. It's really cool. We get to see it. So we've now hit, we were in the Fast Company top 50 most innovative in the world list, and we beat Microsoft. Yeah! I know. Apparently, their $20 billion R&D budget is no match for our 7 engineers, And Adweek really liked what we were doing as well. And we also worked on, We also worked on trying to bring the companies that are very key in this space closer. And IPG, as you know, is one of the big ad holding companies, and we actually managed to grab an investment from them earlier this year. But I wanted to show you a really quick video of kind of the dynamic we've now evolved to.
To have rewards be a part of your everyday life was something that we really truly wanted to do since the beginning here at Kiip.
You like to feel appreciated. With Kiip and the Kiip reward, you get that feeling back. You get rewarded for being good at what you do.
Kiip allowed us to create a stream of revenue that's based entirely on rewarding the players. These achievement moments, or these moments that are already rewarding, and it's ratcheted that up.
These everyday victories, these moments, they're everywhere. We wanted to reward everyday life, and Kiip finally enables us to do just that.
So I wanted to show you this because it actually shows how the model and its scope has now grown. So we started off with games, but we quickly realized, and again, in hindsight it sounds so logical, that these achievement moments actually exist in really any app, right? Because we're like, hang on a second, think about fitness, you log a run or you count your calories, or think about a to-do list, right? You finish a to-do list. I mean, this shit's out of like science fiction, right? You finish a to-do list, you get rewarded, it makes sense, right? So all these things make sense. And so for us, it was really kind of logical to expand beyond games, and now actually a good majority of our network is non-games, and a lot of the way we've now executed our campaigns are very much so we moved the wording away from just achievement moments to just moments. So it's very exciting to see that evolve. Now really a principle we use when we work with the clients that we have, it's like really about finding the human. And I know this sounds kind of obvious again, but really we try to remind people that the person at the end of this device, viewing this device, using your thing, is a human being. And they have emotions, they feel, they emote. So by treating them like target audiences and showing them fucking like display thingies, doesn't really acknowledge the fact that we're feeling anything. And by doing that and reciprocating, there's a really sort of intangible value there that's very difficult to really harness without actually being sensitive to those things. And so when I talk about some of the things that I think helped us and worked for us, and hopefully you guys can apply to some of your businesses, the first was about tapping into existing patterns of moments. So really behavior that already happens. Now I know gamification a lot is about changing behavior patterns, but for me, what I really had the insight for was, hey, people are already doing this shit. Why not just tap into whatever they're doing? There's already moments of achievement happening everywhere in the world when they're on their phones choosing to use the apps they wanted to. And in the background, I have McDonald's at night for a reason, just because this is not new. Brands already know this. Why, for some reason, whenever I'm drunk at 2 a.m., there's always McDonald's open within walking distance. It just makes no sense. It was because McDonald's knows that people like greasy shit when they're drunk. And so tapping into existing patterns of behavior already exists, right? This is something that people and brands already understand. For us, this was the insight into going to fitness, right? As we knew that people were already wanting to, sort of track their health, be more healthy. The fact that I'm using a health-related app means I am either unhealthy trying to get healthy or healthy trying to stay healthy, right? So these were all things we realized were all part of the whole magic of it. And janky animations. All right, next. And other companies like Facebook, as you guys know, have really tapped into this And it's surprising to see them up here, right? But when you look at their new gifts feature, it's really brilliant because what it's doing is tapping into what you're already going to do, which is if someone's got a birthday or anniversary coming up, you're going to send them a gift anyways. And so you're going to just use their thing because people are naturally very lazy. And they make it very easy for you to appear like you care about them a lot by clicking a bunch of buttons and sending them a real-life gift. So it's really cool. Perhaps most potent, though, is the fact that this moment is very universal. And things that are already happening like this, if you don't know what this moment is, you should probably leave the room. And you look at this, for example, this is actually a 20-second snapshot of our network across the US. And it's just an insight to see that these moments are happening whether or not you can help it. And by tapping into this, it's a much more powerful dynamic than to try to create your own all the time. We actually get to see some really unique data. So for example, I decided one day that, hey, we see a lot of fitness moments. So let's see if people actually held onto their New Year's resolution, shall we? And you see this spike there was actually January 2nd in the fitness app category in our network. And it proved, though, that this was actually something that people held on to as a resolution because you could see that the delta was maintaining its average after there was a spike in total time spent in apps, especially in fitness. So we actually knew that people were keeping on to their resolutions, but actually right after January 31st, it plummeted. So I guess for the first month. Number 2 is meaningful moments. Now, this is maybe going to cause some controversy, but I really believe that sometimes we get too caught up in going, oh yeah, we got to reward some shit like posting a comment and like loading the app and like, what? That's not a fucking moment. Right? No one cares if you open the app. That's not a significant moment of happiness that you open the fucking app. So for us, we work with our developers. Some guys will be really cheeky and go, yeah, I'm going to identify an achievement moment when someone loads the app. I'm like, good for you, because guess what? No one's going to redeem the rewards that appear there because it's so unnatural. So it's actually a very self-policing dynamic that we've created. But really tapping to meaningful moments is very key. So for us, like working with certain brands and actually making these meaningful moments convert into something that works for them was actually really cool. So for example, tax day just passed. I don't know if you guys all filed your shit on time. But the whole thing was with TurboTax, we're like, how do we remind people for a tax brand? How does that work in rewarding, right? We had actually TurboTax reward people with free hints in puzzle games and go, here's a hint, stop playing your game and actually file your taxes. And it was actually very clever. And we also had a fitness execution with Secret, which is a Procter & Gamble brand. All the 2 women in the room will know what this is. Secret is a female deodorant brand. Instead of giving away deodorant sticks, which is kind of awkward, what they did was they gave away free music downloads for your next workout playlist in these fitness apps. So it was very clever the way that they were sort of using the existing moments of exercise and these point of sweat and sort of allowing that reward to be there, which not necessarily needs to be the product, but perhaps something that's ancillary to what you do. So I wanted to show you this, though, because it actually shows just how these moments span throughout the day. Currently in advertising, you guys can see that there's very much so a dynamic around, okay, in the morning I know someone's going to be on a news site reading something, and I want to buy an ad, a buy B ad there. But we realized that really the next steps were to take it to the moment in time in which someone's actually reading. And so for us, it wasn't just, it's probably really small, but these are things that essentially extend out. So for example, a student could be in a productivity app finishing a to-do list. At the moment of finishing a to-do list, that's the achievement that really matters. Number 3 is moments of emotional highs. Now, I want to point this out because it's important to realize that these highs are really where you want to pinpoint people, because when you're happy, everything around you seems to be better, right? You guys have experienced this. And so for us, it's like when you're there and you're already riding on happiness, there's an augmented effect, but you can really abuse it if you do the wrong thing. But for us, we got a chance to see some really unique data as well. So this is actually across a 24-hour period, sort of the levels of happiness we see across our network. And of course, at noontime, it's at its peak, because of course at lunchtime, people are dicking off and playing games, so it makes sense. And we also looked at happiness across the country. And we realized this is like Washington, D.C. is clearly very unhappy all the time. And West Virginia was the happiest. So this is some very obvious numbers, and it was very cool to see this. Number 4, actually, I think you guys will really like. It's moments off the device. So I think we always try to think about like gamification or sort of taking experiences within an actual nuclear unit to make fun. But what about things that are happening outside of it? So for us, I have this crazy notion that we can own every single achievement moment on the planet. Now I think these moments exist in other things. So for example, my Nest thermostat that's now connected, I could hit my energy consumption goal for my home and PG&E could reward me. And my fucking, there we go. And then janky animations again. My fucking Tesla, you know, which I don't have, by the way. I was driving, and I happened to drive a lot to the golf course, and maybe TaylorMade can give me some exclusive access to a new golf club set or whatever. And then my fridge, oh, my vegetables are about to run out. Here's a coupon for Whole Foods. You know, there's some cool stuff that can happen here beyond just the actual device. But the fact that this stuff all connects to the phone is really what makes it really cool. We actually did some really cool stuff off the device with gifting, where people could take a reward and re-gift it. It was actually really fun. We had this thing with Best Buy. Highlight, you guys have heard of Highlight. I can find out more about the people around me. But if there's a girl across the bar that I don't really know about and I want to know her interests, I'm not going to check fucking Highlight. I'm just going to talk to her. But anyways, WeChat, you guys have heard of this too. It's an app that, you know, a lot of Asians have. But there's actually this function called Shake. It's really cool. You can shake your phone, and what it'll do is it'll connect you serendipitously to anybody from any corner of the globe that happens to be shaking their phone at the exact same second. It's very cool. Very cool. And you usually get connected with creepy people, but whatever. It's, you know, your mileage may vary. Banjo is also another app that does this, but I wanted to bring your attention to this statement. Banjo brings you the moments you would otherwise miss from the people you care. You would otherwise miss. I mean, FOMO months, right? This is like FOMO on steroids. It's like, now I know that FOMO stands for fear of missing out. So more like now I know everybody next door is having way more fun than I am, you know? And this is just some of the screenshots there. All right, surprise and delight. Okay, great. I'm on time, awesome. So surprise and delight is, again, something that people use and throw around in boardrooms a lot, in marketing strategy meetings, right? You guys hear, oh yeah, surprise and delight the customer. We're like, why don't we actually do this, right? This is very important. And I've seen some really cool execution of this. You guys may have seen this from last year. This was a Jell-O campaign where they basically took people who were tweeting and had frowny faces, right, in their tweets, and serendipitously gave them free Jell-O in an effort to make them smile. And I just thought that was really clever because, again, people were frowny facing anyways. Why not make those negative moments and turning them into positive ones? So my final sort of thing to you is, you know, what's your moment? I think there's a lot of different ways to understand within your business and within your brand, within your customers, what are the moments in time you know people are interacting, and how can you engage in those moments in a meaningful way and not abuse it, right? There's a lot of valuable interactions you can have there, and I implore you to have a chance to discover that. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much. That's Brian Wong from Kiip.